The Imperium stands at its greatest height. The galaxy is nearly conquered. Its enemies are broken. Humanity believes the war is almost over. That belief is the lie. Because this story doesn't begin with treachery, it begins with confidence, with brotherhood, with warriors who believe they are right. At the center of it all stands Horus Heresy, War Master of the Imperium, first among Primarchs, chosen son of the Emperor. He is trusted, he is admired, he is victorious, and that is why what comes next matters. To understand how everything fell apart, you have to understand the galaxy before the betrayal. Humanity had already survived its apocalypse. Long before the Imperium, there was the Age of Strife. Warp storms choked the stars. Civilizations collapsed overnight. Technology became legend. Knowledge became taboo. Worlds were isolated for millennia. Some fell into barbarism, others into tyranny. Some were ruled by psychic kings, others by machine cults. Many were ruled by things that should never have been worshipped. Terror became a fractured nightmare of Geen warlords, techno-barbarians, and endless wars. That's when the Emperor stepped out of myth and into history. He did not arrive as a god. He arrived as a solution, a warlord with flawless genetics, a psychic presence so vast it bent reality, a being who claimed he had guided humanity from the shadows for thousands of years. His promise was simple: no gods, no superstition, no division, only unity, only reason, only humanity, unchained and dominant, and unity would be enforced. The unification wars were not heroic. They were extermination. The Emperor unleashed the Thunder Warriors, brutal and stable proto-super soldiers across Terra. Warlords were annihilated, cultures were erased, entire populations were crushed into silence. Resistance was labeled irrational, dissent was labeled dangerous, and when Terra was finally unified, the Thunder Warriors were destroyed. The Imperium does not preserve tools it no longer needs. This would become a pattern. The Emperor knew conquest on a galactic scale required more than armies, it required generals. So he created sons. 20 Primarchs engineered demigods, designed for conquest, leadership, and war. They were not raised, they were built. Chaos was watching. The Primarchs were stolen from Terra and scattered across the galaxy, cast onto distant worlds to be shaped by cruelty, chance, and fate. The Emperor did not grieve. He adapted, using genetic templates drawn from his lost sons. He created the Legiones Astartes, Space Marines, transhuman warriors conditioned for loyalty and forged for conquest. They were taught that compliance was mercy and annihilation was necessity. And when the armies were ready, the Great Crusade began. This was not exploration, it was reclamation. Every human world encountered was given the same choice: compliance or extinction. Join the Imperium, abandon religion, accept the imperial truth. Those who refused were erased. Alien civilizations were not negotiated with. They were exterminated. The entire species were wiped out so humanity could rule uncontested, and this was called peace. The Imperium taught one doctrine above all others: there are no gods, no demons, no spirits, no afterlife. Only science, only reason, only the Emperor. It was not truth, it was control. The Emperor believed denial would starve chaos, that ignorance would protect humanity, that faith itself was the enemy. And for a time, it worked. One by one, the Primarchs were rediscovered, each shaped by the world that raised them, each loyal in their own way, each flawed. Some were philosophers, some were tyrants, some were monsters pretending to be men. Among them, one stood above the rest, charismatic, unifying, beloved by warriors and generals alike. Horus Heresy, the Emperor trusted him more than any other. So when the time came, the Emperor stepped away from the crusade and placed its command in Horus's hands. It was not jealousy that doomed the Imperium. It was expectation. What expectation? That a weapon raised for war could govern peace. Expectation that obedience could replace understanding. Expectation that the truth could be buried forever. The galaxy believed the future was secure. That belief was fatal, because soon Horus and his warriors would encounter something unexpected. A civilization that did not deny the warp, that did not pretend chaos did not exist. A civilization that studied it, named it, contained it. They survived because they acknowledged the truth. The Imperium would call this knowledge dangerous. History would prove it was honest. And when that meeting ended in blood, something irreversible would happen. The lie would harden. The path forward would narrow. The Imperium believed it was winning. Horus believed he was serving mankind. And the galaxy stood on the edge of a war it didn't yet understand. This is not the beginning of betrayal. This is the moment before the fall.
Picture this. Lunar wolves descend upon a world that still clings to an emperor of its own, a false god-king demanding worship. The Astartes stormed the palace, a tide of white ceramite and righteous fury. They are unstoppable. But among them is Captain Garvia Loken of the 10th Company. He's a warrior of quiet faith, not in gods, but in the imperial truth. No superstition, only reason in the unity of mankind. Yet, in the chaos of that assault, something impossible happens. A brother legionary falls, not to a blade or a bullet, but to a force no bolter can explain: possession, madness, the kind of thing the Imperial Crusade insists cannot exist. Loken witnesses this firsthand, a moment of inexplicable horror that defies everything he has been taught. What does a loyal son do when the galaxy whispers truths the Emperor has forbidden? How does doubt first creep into a mind forged for absolute certainty? This wasn't just a battle for a planet. It was the first tremor in the foundation of an empire. And at the heart of it all stands Horus Lupercal, Primarch of the Lunar Wolves, the Emperor's most favored son, following the triumph at Ulanar, the greatest victory of the Great Crusade. The Emperor makes a galaxy-shattering announcement. He is returning to Terra to continue his great work in secret, and in his stead, he names Horus as War Master. He bestows upon his son command of all the Imperium's military might. The weight of the entire crusade now rests on his shoulders. The Lunar Wolves cheer their Primarch, now War Master of all legions. The galaxy celebrates. His inner circle, the Monovalescile, Abaddon, Torek, Torgadon, Horus Aximand, and Garvel Loken himself stand as his advisors, his brothers, his friends. They joke, they counsel, they temper his ambition. For a moment, it feels right. The crusade surges forward with renewed vigor. Worlds fall faster than ever. Horus proves himself worthy of the title, a brilliant strategist and an inspirational leader. But power, especially absolute power, changes a person's perspective. When you're the favored son, given command of the galaxy's mightiest armies, what temptations arise? What tiny flaws in the Emperor's grand design begin to show themselves when viewed from the very top? The burden of command is immense, and in the quiet moments between conquests, the War Master is alone with his thoughts, his ambitions, and the first whispers of resentment. Then comes the encounter with the Entrex. This isn't some backwater world of techno-barbarians. The Entrex are a highly advanced human civilization that survived Old Night intact. They are sophisticated, enlightened, and deeply wary of the Imperium's aggressive expansion. They have their own understanding of the galaxy, one that includes concepts the Imperium has outlawed. They speak openly of dangers the Emperor dismisses. Warp entities they call cows in the perils of certain Xenos artifacts. They don't just warn the Imperials, they try to educate them. Horus listens. He sees a potential ally, a different path for humanity. Some in his council, like Loken and Torgadon, see an opportunity for diplomacy, for learning. Others, like Abaddon, see only weakness and insult. The Interex's warnings about chaos sound dangerously close to the forbidden superstitions of the past. A diplomatic meeting, intended to foster understanding, becomes thick with tension. Then, a misunderstanding spirals into a single, catastrophic act of violence. A priceless artifact is stolen, trust is shattered, and suddenly, the Imperial truth collides with a reality it refuses to acknowledge. The fragile peace erupts into conflict, and the Interrex are tragically wiped out. Loken watches it all unfold, a man of integrity caught between his duty to the War Master and the Dawning, horrifying doubt in his heart. Was this the first true fracture in the Imperium soul? Or was it merely the moment we noticed the crack that was always there? The encounter leaves a bitter taste, a sense that a great opportunity was lost, replaced by needless destruction. The War Master stands at the pinnacle of his power. The galaxy seems to bend to his will. Yet, in the quiet moments, the questions linger. What happens when the Emperor's dream of a secular, rational empire meets the galaxy's harsh, supernatural truth? What happens when a warrior's loyalty is tested, not by external enemies, but by the very ideals he is sworn to defend? The heresy hasn't begun yet. The betrayal is not yet forged. But the ground is fertile. The seeds of doubt have been planted, and the poison is seeping into the soil. Next time on our journey into the 41st millennium, the fall accelerates. We travel to a world called Davin, where the whispers grow louder, false gods rise, and the War Master faces a choice no son should ever have to make. If this tale of brotherhood, betrayal, and tragedy moves you, hit that subscribe button and join us as we chronicle the fall. Leave a comment below. Do you think Horus was doomed from the moment he became War Master? Could he have resisted the darkness? The galaxy burns, my friends, and we're only at the spark. Thanks for watching.